Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck. Once again, I'm doing this little vlog, but I'm using my laptop now, and I've switched the webcam. I'm using my external Logitech webcam that some of you longtime viewers might have remember me doing reviews with. So yeah, there's that, and I I just realized I forgot something, but that's all right. So, Happy New Year, everyone. Um, I wanted to maybe do this yesterday, but people were actually off and around, so really couldn't. But yeah, I wanted to just do something with you where we reflect on the year, sort of like my year-end video and stuff like that. And I was trying to figure out how to start, talking about it. And some months ago, I had actually jotted down a few things, and I figured I'd share that with you now. We are fans of some of the greatest media properties in history: Transformers, G.I. Joe, He Man, Thundercats, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, etc. At the heart of each of them is a belief, a hope. Good always wins. Sure, there are bad times, times when things look bleak. But as long as we believe, as long as we hope, the sun will shine again. And that was just really the start. But that's really all I came up with. That was before another round of Amazon pre orders got bungled and mismanaged. But, and then, I started thinking about it. And I even started looking into my own house. And, I realized things. Some of you know, and I've mentioned, my sister Barbara is a college professor. Her 2020 isn't going to end or have a chance of ending until at least the fall of 2021, the end of that semester. She will be teaching from home this spring and into next fall. And, we discussed it and the reasons, and, there are actually some viable, good ideas about the fact, due to the commuting of the students and stuff like that. So, it goes back to the saying that, people have had for years and a lot of people are passing around now. Just because, the new year ticks over, it's a new day, new year, doesn't mean anything's really going to change. And I still think there's going to, and for a lot of people, it's going to take some time to readjust. I had dinner the other night, right before New Year's, with some fellow scouters, people who were involved with Boy Scouting. And, we were talking about the regulations that are in place that are um, the way units, which is a unit to explain to you guys, is a Boy Scout troop and a Cub Scout pack together. That's considered one unit. How they're having to handle things, and that, in New York, there's different warning zones and stuff, and a few of them are in a yellow zone, which means that they are not allowed to take part. Oh, the cat's cleaning herself. They're not allowed to take part in certain events. And, they were talking about when things open back up. And, the conversation really was is that realistically, it doesn't look like until 2022 when things might return to normal in that regard. Um, and then I had mentioned that, well, you also have to deal with the fact that once things go back to normal, um, will parents want to have their kids involved? And there's a difference between going camping with the 25 people you are always around, and then going to a camporee, which is a larger camping event where there's 500 people you don't know. So there's some stuff there. I guess that's a basically what I'm trying to say is, have hope in 2021, but just remember that change is often gradual. Um, but yeah, so going back to what I started off reading, um, you know, this year in terms of the hobbies, was really one of the best years we've had. Now, if you look, I mean, if you look at the product that was supposed to be released and supposed to be in our hands, we had a 6-inch GI Joe collectible line. Yes, I think Hasbro mishandled the distribution of that. But if you look at Earthrise, I mean, we had, I think, really now in this with this line, not so much in Siege, the debut of the phrase and the um, standardizing of the phrase masterpiece killer, because there were a lot of those figures: Voyager Starscream, Voyager Grapple, the deluxe Datsun cars, um, that are as good or better than their masterpiece counterparts. Um, and going forward into Kingdom, because some of those figures have come out, same thing. I mean, Studio Series Hot Rod, I've already reviewed that, and I said this is better than the masterpiece. And every other reviewer has said the same thing. Um, I just want to reiterate, in case I didn't mention it in the review, with Studio Series Hot Rod, if you look at all the iterations of Hot Rod we've gotten over, all the lines, the classic generation type lines, we basically have every transformation scheme that Hot Rod was ever drawn having. Because that was one of the things, is that every time he transformed, it was a different way. So yeah, I mean, Cyclonus, fantastic. The Beast Wars figures, a lot of them are, people are saying are, better than the originals, naturally, but just better than the masterpiece. I mean, remember those Beast Wars figures, every single one, I think with the exception of Optimus Primal, um, had some sort of issue with it that was causing breakage. Um, I mean, it was kind of overlooked, but I mean, yes, there were a ton of issues with distribution, um, supply, demand, and stuff getting out that I think were above and beyond 2020 and everything going on there. Um, but it is what it is, and hopefully things can be corrected and adjusted. Personally, I think the just the glut of store exclusives needs to end. The fact that to get a deluxe Bumblebee, you have to deal with Walmart and their distribution and what have you. First of all, there's a lot of people who don't feel comfortable dealing with Walmart. They're a non-union business. They're not allowed in New York, so the only chance I would have of getting anything from them is online. And I'll tell you right now, I got Deluxe Bumblebee from the Netflix line, and I basically had to speak to customer service, go through 3 levels before I got a higher ranking supervisor, and carry myself in a manner that was, I would say, was Karenish, to get them to realize that the fact that they're selling it online for $44, which is more than double than the retail price, was wrong. I mean, the guy was giving me some line and stuff like that, but basically it's they're doing the same pricing algorithms as Amazon does when stock goes down and stuff like that. And I think that too is going to have to stop. Um, One thing I've heard a lot this year is people are getting priced out of the hobby. They, you know, for whatever reason, they can't get the stuff at retail, and obviously, excuse me, cannot afford the online markups. Now, keep in mind, I think part of the problem with the online stuff, eBay, the secondary market, is last year, 29, 2 years ago, 2019, eBay started charging tax. And that has basically turned deals, the good deals, into because there's basically slapping, in some cases, the inappropriate amount of tax on an item. And I brought up a great question that unfortunately, no idea where to ask it or who to ask it to, but a lot of people had the same thought. A lot of eBay's business is reselling. Is it legal or allowed to retax, pay tax on something that already had tax paid on it? You're double taxing the item. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too much into that. Um, and the other thing we kind of have to look at for a lot of people, this was a positive year. Looking at myself, for example, I would say this was a very good year for me on YouTube. I had some videos that did incredibly well view wise. I had a good increase in subscribers. Right now, I'm over 3,600 subscribers, which, yes, if you understand the way YouTube works, that's still not nearly as much as it should. To be a successful YouTuber, you would need, but seeing as how I've earned every single subscriber, and I came in after the initial rush of Transformer and general toy reviewers, that's pretty good. And also, my views are, I think I would put them up against any more established reviewer. Um, so in that regard, 2020 was pretty good to me. I mean, it didn't start that way. I think we kind of survived Coppa, and I find it funny that that all pretty much resolved itself right before everything else hit. Basically, for those of you who kind of maybe missed the resolution of Coppa, um, somebody spoke to the agency, and they're very understanding, and they said, "Look, we charge fines. We exist on the revenue we get from fines. That's how they pay their bills, they pay their employees. Are we going to go after someone who's a small time toy reviewer who clearly has no way of paying a $75,000 fine, or are we going to go after this massive channel that is backed by a company and this and that, is making millions of dollars a month?" So that was that. Most of us have nothing to worry about. I know some reviewers who have families, who have children, kind of, in my opinion, made some knee jerk responses that I would have liked to have seen them stand a little firmer. And if I'm being honest, I am still very disappointed by the community's response. A large number of sites did not um, show any type of support, be it Transformer site, GI Joe site, comic site, Takatsosu live at whatever, any type of support, and that really was kind of telling because, as I've said time and again, reviewers bring a lot to um, channels. I mean, not channels, but websites with their videos and views. And I just think we're often treated as the uh, bastard stepchildren of a of the community, and I think that kind of has to change. But yeah, so I mean, things worked out there. Speaking of my channel personally, just a quick little update. Towards December, at the end of December, I didn't notice this as it was going on because I was doing my daily Advent vlogs. Um, But one of my reviews from September, the Commander Battle Call Cyberverse Bumblebee figure, took off, and I heard back. I mean, reading the comments, it was parents watching with their children or parents watching on their own because they got the toy for their children either as a pre-Christmas gift or for Christmas, and they were having a lot of problems transforming it. Um, and I think that's very interesting because I was part of a discussion on a website about does Bumblebee really sell? Because if you go into stores, you see that there's figures there, but no Bumblebees. And I said, well, they're buying them now. How quickly is that going to end up on the secondary market and dumping them? And on one hand, yes, I can now say Bumblebee sells, but I can also say that parents are getting turned off by the complexity of a supposedly simple figure. And I think it's what I've been saying, and a lot of other people have been saying for years, that the instructions are terrible and they need to improve. But a couple comments did say something very, you know, exacerbated, said to me, why didn't you transform it back? So going forward with Cyberverse and whatever the um, beginner transformer lines will be, I will transform the figures back and forth and give you guidance in that regard all in one video. You saw that already with Deluxe Class Soundwave, and you'll be seeing it going forward with some of the other figures I'll be getting. Um, I mean, Generation Figures is a different clientele, but we'll see. But again, thank you so much for supporting that video. Um, I mean, it is funny that these things, it's always a funny thing on my channel, but the videos that do well, they actually take a while to get going. I've never had a video hit right away. Well, no, that's not true. Once in a while I do, but I mean, that ended up being my most viewed video of the year. You know, number two, and a distant number two, is the Kingdom Core class figures. But yeah, so I just want to let you guys know that's what I'll be doing because I mean, I really look at this as a trust between you and you being the viewer, that to really try and help you and bring enjoyment um, to these figures. And, this is what I want to do. This is the mission statement of this channel, is for families to watch together, be entertained, maybe get some help or something out of it, the way it really should be. Children should not be watching things alone. Underage children should not be watching anything alone. It should be a guardian, parent, and a child together. And this is what when I see that, I'm very happy. So to start winding this down, because this is a little bit longer than I thought it would be. I, I forgot to grab them off the shelf, and I don't want to. I can't pause this, and I don't want to get up and grab them. But toy of the year, the best figure, and there was a lot this year.